We've run thousands of Google ad campaigns over the past 11 years, and your headlines are undoubtedly one of the most important components of a Google ad, particularly for search campaigns. In this video, I'm going to give you 9 Google Ads headline writing techniques with a bunch of examples that you can use to massively improve your Google Ads headlines, and by doing so, massively improve your Google Ad results. So I first want to quickly talk about the importance of Google Ads headlines and the opportunity here, how much leverage you can get by improving your Google Ads headlines. When it comes to search ads, your headlines are clearly the most important part. It's the largest piece of text. It's what people's eyes are drawn to naturally first. It's what's either going to grab their attention or not. Are they going to check out the rest of the information? Are they going to be convinced to take further action? Headlines are absolutely key. And improving your headlines has such big leverage because it's right at the start of the sales funnel. So you improve that part, you make your headlines better, you get more clicks, you potentially warm people up more through headlines, that you do more convincing. That's going to have an impact on every other step of your lead generation or your sales funnel, all through that process. And also because your headlines have such a big role on your click-through rate, on that initial interaction, by improving those, you can take a click-through rate on a Google search ad from really low at 1 or 2% to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8%. You can absolutely take your results and 5x the click-through rate, get 5 times as many clicks from the same number of impressions with better headlines. Now, that'd be relatively extreme. You're going from pretty poor headlines to really good ones in that case, but it does happen. Even decent headlines, often you can double the click-through rate from where you are to where you can get to by improving the headlines. There aren't many stages in your lead generation funnel or your sales funnel where you can do that. Like, you are not going to take your conversion rate, let's say from a sales call, so from prospect to actual client on a sales call, from 20% to 80%. Just never going to happen. You might be able to take it from 20% to 30%, maybe even 40% if your system's absolutely fantastic and your people are really well trained and they're brilliant salespeople. But with headline improvement, you can, like I said, 4x, 5x your click-through rate, at least double, and that can have a massive impact on the rest of your sales funnel. Because if you're looking at your overall metrics, if you take your click-through rate from a 2% to an 8%, that is the same as taking your close rate on the sales calls from a 20% to an 80%. And the highest leverage moves when it comes to improving your Google ads, like with all marketing, are the ones where it requires the least amount of change and input to have the biggest impact, to have the biggest output on your results. And changing headlines, improving click-through rate, often a lot easier than improving your sales call close rate or your conversion rate on a product page if you're an e-commerce business. Like, a lot of those steps further down the funnel are more difficult to improve. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but more difficult to improve. Using new and different Google ad headlines can also help overcome offer fatigue. It's thought of as less of an issue with search ads, although of course, headline improvement applies to many aspects of Google advertising, not just search. But it can still happen, right? Where you're advertising to the same people again and again, particularly occurs with local businesses, and people do get fatigued, not just with specific ads, but with the offer in general. And a different headline adds a different wrapper, adds a different angle, so that you overcome that fatigue issue. You get past the, what I call the I've seen this before filter, as people do, right? I've seen this before, I can ignore it. Yeah, your great thing that saves me a load of time, whatever. But if your thing saves people time, but also leads to a better outcome as well, you could have different headlines that emphasize the better outcome. That's going to help overcome offer fatigue. So testing headlines, making changes, improving over time, really, really important. Okay, so that sort of laid the groundwork and covered some of the things about what we're looking to do here and why this is important. Now let's go ahead and dive in to the specific techniques. Number 1 is to use AI to help you write your headlines, but to do so in a clever way. I find that nowadays Google advertisers fall into one of 2 extremes. They either use AI to write basically all their ad copy, so they're asking ChatGPT to write their Google ad headlines, or using the suggestions that Google will generate automatically for you when you're going through your ad creation process, and they don't really give it any thought. They're like, great, got those options, pop them in, never think about it. Or they're right at the other end and they're like, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to write them all myself. And come up with all the options and do the research and all that sort of thing. I think the sensible option is the middle ground. It's absolutely to use things like ChatGPT. It's absolutely to take a look at the suggestions that Google provides, but you still need to be the filter. You can't just fully switch off and decide you're not going to go through any of the options and work out whether or not they work for your business. So please do use AI, but don't get lazy when it comes to your headline writing. So have a look through the options that are provided and go, yes, no, yes, no. Oh, I like this one, but need to tweak it slightly. That doesn't really apply to my business. Is that the message that I want to create? Not so sure. And go about it that way. And particularly when you're using, this can happen within the Google Ad campaign creation process as well, because what you input will affect the suggestions. But particularly if you're using an external thing like ChatGPT and you're going back and forth, do the back and forth. So ask it to create some Google Ad headlines for you, and then based on the results say, okay, I like these ones, could you write more like that? Or I don't like that, that's not the right kind of angle, or could you rewrite those with a slightly different tone, and have a play. Don't just have that one go and just take that stuff, but have a play and try and tailor it for your branding, for your business, what you feel comfortable with, what you feel is going to work. And when you're doing that, this is not a very data-led activity at this point. Once you've run ads and you've got data, then you can feed that back in, and that has more of a role to play. This also is a mistake that I see Google advertisers make, is they fixate on the data. They fixate on not being able to make a decision based on any form of intuition that they have themselves. I think that's silly, because a lot of the times you can go, nah, it's not quite right, or I think this one's going to work really well. This is dead on our competitive advantage. Let's go ahead and do that. So just don't switch that part off and go for it. And one of the things that I have as like a mental checkbox when it comes to headline writing is the need to differentiate. So the need to stand out from the crowd, because that's what's going to grab people's attention. That's what's going to convince them to click, go on to convert, hopefully, is you have to find a way to not just have ads that look identical to everyone else's if you want the best results possible. Now, if everyone is using AI to write their headlines and they're all using the same prompts, they're all going in and say, write Google Ads headlines for an electrician, for example, well, they're all going to look the same. You see that with a lot of Google's suggested headlines as well, that they're going to be very similar to a lot of competitors. And that's not to say that they won't work, but the best results normally come from some form of differentiation, some way of making you stand out. And that leads me on to my second point, which is to include things in your Google Ad headlines that are unique to you. So say things only you can say and have be true. So let me give you an example, right? So I'm a Meta Megaphone partner, which is basically like a brand ambassador for Meta ads. There's only a handful of us in the world. I'm the only one in the UK right now. And that means that I have special access. We have contacts at Meta, high up, that give us access to features early, and we can get issues resolved with client ad accounts. So something that people will be very interested in if they think about working with us for our Meta Ads services. We offer Google Ads services and Meta Ads services. And I got that opportunity because I have the largest YouTube channel that's Meta Ads only focused, much larger than this one. It's about 6 times the subscriber count. Hopefully one day I'll have the largest Google Ads YouTube channel as well. Working hard on it. Aaron Young, I'm coming for you. But that's going to take a little while. But that Meta Megaphone partner thing, I make it very clear in my ad headlines, because that's really, I'm the only one in the UK. There's only a handful of us worldwide. That is unique to me. That is competitive advantage. That is something that other people can't say, that has obvious benefits for our clients and potential clients, right? Also make it very clear on the landing page, and you want that sort of stuff elsewhere as well, but we're focusing Google Ads headline specific here. So have a little think about what makes your business unique. What can you say that other people can't say and have it be true? Do you have more experience than other people? Maybe it's more experience across your team, not just you personally. A higher level of certification. Do you offer something that other people don't? Like, we have these extra parts of our service that other people just don't offer. Proof is a really big part of this. So how many 5-star reviews do you have? Do you have more 5-star reviews for your restaurant than any other restaurant in the local area? Include that information. So there's many different ways that you can find something that's unique to you. It could be based around your story, it could be based around previous experience, like lots of different ways that you can go about thinking about, okay, what is unique to us? What can we say? What can we include here? But one of the things I really like about this is it immediately makes you stand out, and it's also something that competitors can't really copy. Or they can't copy without just lying in their Google Ads, and that's just not going to work for them long term. That's going to hurt their brand, right? So other techniques that you use might improve your results, but if competitors see it, they can then start replicating it. This they can't, because it's stuff that's only unique to you. Other people can't say they're Meta Megaphone partners. Like, that is something that I have that other people don't. Technique number 3. Make it clear who you are looking for and who you are not looking for, which might be more important in your Google Ad headlines. So this can sometimes feel like it's going against conventional Google Ads wisdom, conventional sort of Google Ads advice of try and create ads to get the highest possible click-through rate. Because if you do make it clear in your headline copy, and I'll give some examples around how you do this, that we're looking for these people, not these people, well, the people that you're not looking for, and you've made that clear, they're not going to click. That will, in some cases, decrease your click-through rate. It doesn't always, by the way, because you are that much more attractive to the people you are looking for in that instance that they click more and it can more than compensate. But sometimes you will see a reduction in click-through rate. That's often a really good trade though, because that reduction in click-through rate is going to effectively filter out people that you're not going to end up working with anyway, who aren't going to buy from you. And therefore the people that do click through are far more likely to convert once they click and start going through to your landing page, whatever your next steps are going to be. And I find that ads that don't do this, that try and be really generic to their entire market, they're so easy to ignore. They absolutely blend in. But if you do this technique and you implement this well, you stand out, because a lot of your competitors won't be brave enough to do this. Even though the downside is pretty limited. If it doesn't work, you can always change it back. And in many cases, it works really well. So when you're writing Google Ads headlines, and this is good advice for ad copywriting in general, you want to think about writing it for one specific person, like one specific avatar. This would normally be your ideal client, right? Like the perfect client, customer that you want. Who are they? What do they care about? What are they thinking about? And you write it for them as opposed to mass market. So I was to give some examples of how you go about doing this, because you need to do this. I was going to say subtly. Subtly is not the right word, but you need to do this in a way that's not rude. It's probably a better way of saying it, because you want to put people off from clicking, but do so in a way by saying, we serve these people instead, as opposed to saying we don't want to work with you. So for an example, for like a marketing agency, I've got some marketing agency examples, right? We could have as a headline, 5K plus monthly ad budget, ? As in, if you don't have that, maybe we're not the right agency for you, you shouldn't click. If you do, great, go ahead and click. Another example might be, need more dental leads, as a headline.
Say ah. Say ah.
If you're a dentist and that's what you're specifically looking for, brilliant. Now you could have a headline like that on more generic search terms when it comes to people looking for marketing. They wouldn't have to necessarily have searched for things that are super dentist specific, but that's going to really speak to the people that are dentists, that want dental leads. If it's in amongst more generic, we can get you leads type ads, okay? Another example might be, we scale e-com businesses. So just very clearly, this is who we work with. Now, if you don't have other headlines talking about working with other types of businesses will see that and go, oh, okay, we're lead generation based, we're SaaS, I'm a consultant, these people aren't for me, they're after e-com businesses. Now, just to be clear, with my agency, we work with all different types of businesses, but I wanted to give an example of how that might work. Number 4, test headlines that speak to people at different stages of awareness. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the different stages of awareness in a marketing context, right? So you have people who are unaware, then you have people who are problem aware, then you have solution aware, product aware, and then at the bottom, very aware or warm or whatever you want to determine that. And different people fit within this. I'm going to go through some examples and explain each one as we go to make this make more sense. And you may well find that you've been advertising to primarily the wrong level of awareness, or you've simply only been focusing on one level of awareness and missing out on sales, leads, etc. from other stages of awareness as well. So if we start at the top with unaware, well, that doesn't really apply to Google Ads headlines because no one's searching for anything relevant if they're unaware even of the problem, let alone the solution, etc. So we just don't need to worry about that as the top stage. The next one down is problem aware. So if we carry on using a marketing agency as an example, something a lot of people can understand, an example of a headline that we might put in front of someone who is problem aware, their problem being, I'm not generating enough leads or sales for my business, would be struggling to generate leads, ? As a question. They're like, yeah, I am struggling to generate leads. I do want more leads. And someone might be searching for something along the lines of how to get more leads, or you're meeting them where they're at. They're not necessarily aware of the next stages yet. They just go, I just need more leads. I need more sales. And that's a headline that's catering to people at the problem aware stage. Next level would be solution aware. So this would now be someone who they know they need more leads, they know they need more sales, but they're also aware of the solution of they could run, in this case, Google Ad campaigns. Oh, I could run Google Ad campaigns to generate leads and sales. And they might sound silly, especially if you're into this world, but there'll be lots of people that aren't really aware of that, particularly when they first start a business. They just have a product or service they want to sell and they just haven't thought about any of this marketing stuff. So there are people in that problem aware who aren't in that solution aware category. So those solution aware people, we could have something like our service equals better ad results, because they've heard about, okay, I could use Google Ads to get leads, I could use Google Ads to get sales. So we're meeting them with a headline that's where they're at. Our service equals better ad results. Oh, okay, great. I should work with these guys then. I want better ad results. Next level is going to be product aware. So that would be where someone knows they need to generate more leads or sales. That's the problem. They know that Google Ads can generate them leads or sales, but they're also product aware in terms of, I know I can hire an agency to run this for me as opposed to doing it themselves. Like that's the category of product, right? Is work with an agency, hire an agency. So in that case, what we need to do with our headlines is convince those people to work with us as opposed to another agency. So we could have things like $150+ million in ad spend, or trusted by 3,000+ brands. So there we're bringing the proof and we're trying to differentiate from the competition. You can see at those other stages of awareness, we're more sort of trying to meet them where they're at in terms of, this is what you're struggling with, we can help with it, or if you work with us and use our service, our solution, you get better results. At that bottom level, we're differentiating. So you need to have a think about how you would make that work for your business, but there are often different awareness stages, and advertisers very often get stuck in one. They often get stuck right at the bottom, and they don't even think to go for people that are higher level and have less awareness. But actually, if you can meet someone where they're at there and take them through the process, like get them into your world, get them onto your landing pages, have a lot of options to explain those subsequent steps, that can be really, really valuable because they're going to trust you more, they're more likely to go with you, they're less sort of shopping around and in that mindset. By the way, we've just talked about like Google Ads and Google Ads services. We can run your Google Ads for you if you want. There's a link in the video description where you can book a free call with one of my team members to find out more how we might be able to help, take it off your hands, help you get better results, all that good stuff. So if that sounds interesting, go ahead and do that, and hopefully we get a chance to work together. Number 5 is to use more special offers. So special offers are a low-hanging fruit for Google advertisers. They're the things that are going to help you get more conversions, help convince people to take action, and they aren't used enough, in my experience, by most Google advertisers. So the way I think you can use special offers, and I'll talk about more specifically what that looks like in a second, is you've just got to tie them into something that makes sense for your prospects. So this could be something really big like a Black Friday or a Christmas sale, if that's appropriate for your business, that a lot of people will expect. Or it could be something far less significant, like your company just turned 5, it's been around for 5 years. Or you as the founder have got a birthday, so you're running a special sale. Or it's a season, you could have a end of spring sale, summer sale, autumn sale, fall sale, holiday sale, New Year's sale, Valentine's sale, Easter sale, Halloween sale, if it's appropriate for your business. Or you could even come up with other options, like it's International Marketing Week sale. I think International Marketing Day is like at the end of May. I think that is actually a thing. Right, we could have a sale for that in our business, and you could find the equivalent for your business. All these sorts of things exist. So you can have these reasons to run special offers that have urgency because it's going to end. You're tying into something that's going to end at that point. You can also include scarcity in there as well, because if you're a service-based business, you have capacity constraints. If you're an e-commerce business, you have stock limitations. Like there's ways you can add in scarcity too. But it's a great way to get people to take action, including your headlines. You do need to make sure that there's congruity between your headlines then and the landing page. So if you're talking about a special offer in your ads, in your headlines, get that on your landing page as well, so people feel like they're in the right place. And I think one of the things that holds people back with special offers is they think it always has to be a discount. And they're like, oh, well, that hits my margin, I'm going to make less money, that's going to tarnish my reputation as a brand. And you absolutely don't have to use discounts for special offers. Many other types of special offers that you can use. And actually, one of the things that I've learned from running so many special offer based campaigns is I prefer free to discount. So instead of discounting off the main thing, I'd rather you buy this thing and you get something free with it. And if you think about premium luxury businesses, that's more often how they do things. Rare that they would offer a discount, but they operate that way. So for example, you go into a fancy jewelry shop, they're going to give you drinks, often nice drinks, for free. They're just hoping you're going to buy. They're not discounting the product, it's part of the package. If you go to a really nice restaurant, you're going to get valet parking for free. You might get a wine sommelier, so basically someone to give advice around what you should order for free. There's going to be these extra add-ons. They might order you a tax. Like there's going to be things that you might expect. You order a lot of particularly high-end luxury products and there's going to be free extra stuff in the packaging. That's quite common. But they don't discount, right? So you can absolutely do that sort of thing. You can have deals with complimentary extras, and I think that helps you keep the premium nature of your brand and emphasize that and hold that. And if that's a really important part of how you want to be positioned, which it absolutely can be, that's fine, then go ahead and do that. But yeah, don't always think you have to run with a discount. You can run with a discount. That's absolutely fine. Many businesses do that as well. And if that's part of your marketing strategy and if that's one of your competitive advantage maybe, that you can offer lower prices, brilliant. Lean into that by all means. But there are alternatives. But a special offer is just such an easy way to stand out from vanilla ads that your competitors are running. And I actually like this strategy. I think it's even more impactful in industries where people don't typically run special offers. So in a lot of e-commerce industries, it's expected. But in a lot of service-based businesses, other type local businesses, it's not really done very much. You can do it there and really stand out from your competition, which as we talked about, is really, really important. Okay, so I've got some more Google Ads headline writing techniques that I want to cover. But first, I want to let you know about Hyros. Hyros is fantastic tracking and attribution software and can really help you improve your Google Ad results. It's a software that all the big players in the industry use, including myself. I use it to track results for my own ads across multiple platforms, including Google Ads and all my organic results as well, which is super helpful. So if someone, for example, comes through and books a call for our done for you services, I can see exactly where that person came from. This is particularly important if you're running ads across multiple channels or generating customers organically as well. Without accurate data, you are flying blind, and knowledge is power. So let me show you how important this is. So I'm here in my Hyros dashboard. I'm going to take a look at the data and the results that Hyros has been able to track and compare those to what I'm seeing within my Google Ad account for the same campaign. So this is a Google Ad campaign that we've been running. We're only looking at data for a few days here, but it really demonstrates what's going on. So you can see Hyros has registered 6 leads generated, a cost per lead of just over £15, 75 clicks. It's just a branded search campaign, hence why the CTR is 30%. So not a huge amount going on, but representative, right? So that's the data we can see within Hyros. If I jump over to my Google Ad account, we look at the exact same campaign, same time frame. You know, we've got May 21st to 27th. You can see a lot of the data matches up, right? We've got 75 clicks, 30% CTR just like before. But if we scroll over, you can see that Google has only registered 3 conversions as opposed to the 6. So it's registered half the number of conversions. And I can tell you, looking at the back-end data, that the 6 from Hyros is the accurate number. And that's why this is so important, because we might look at the Google Ads data and come to the wrong conclusion, think this isn't profitable, turn stuff off when we shouldn't, but we can verify it with the Hyros data and make much better, more informed decisions and end up with better overall ad results because of it. So if you want to improve the performance of your Google Ad campaigns and be able to see exactly where your leads and sales are coming from, go ahead and sign up to Hyros. There is a link in the video description. Headline writing technique number 6 is to ladder up the benefits in your headlines, right? So you've probably already heard benefits over features. I'll just quickly recap that and then I'll talk about the next step on from that, which is what I want to cover in this point. So just to give an example, our Google Ad service includes many different component parts, many different features. So things like we're going to do an ad account audit if you've already been running ads. We're going to do keyword research. We're going to write a bunch of ad headlines and all sorts of things, right? But we're not going to want to talk about that when we're advertising that service. We're not going to want to emphasize the features. Instead, we're going to want to talk about the benefits that those features, when done well, will provide. So in that case, it's going to be more leads, more sales for your business. So our headline copy is going to focus more on we'll get you more leads, we'll get you more sales, we'll improve your results, we'll improve your return on ad spend. It's the benefit, not the features, right? But what I like to do is go one step further and ladder up. Why do they want that benefit? Go one stage further, okay? So why do people want that benefit? Why do they want more leads? Why do they want more sales from their Google Ads? Because it's going to help their business. It's going to help them grow their business. It's going to help them scale. It's going to help them achieve the objectives they want. It's going to help them fulfill their dreams and make their parents proud or provide for their family. Like, we can ladder these things up. We can have headlines that are scale your business or explode your revenue alongside the more Google Ads specific ones to ladder up those benefits. Now, you can ladder this all the way up to the top. So it's like, why do you want this benefit? Because of this. Why do you want this benefit? Well, because of this. Once you do that high enough up, you basically get to status. That's the top of most benefit ladders. So if we go back to our example I just talked about, Why does someone want to get more leads from their Google ads? Right, it's going to help their business. Why do they care about that? Why do they want their business to succeed? Well, they want to be seen as successful by other people, status. They want their parents to be proud, status. They want to provide for their family, status. That's the top of the benefit ladder. Now, you are limited by Google's character limit when it comes to headlines. That applies to be honest, all the techniques we're talking about here. But for an example of this for us, we already talked about scale your business, explode your revenue as being one level laddered up. But we could go another step further and have something like crush it this year. Or go really punchy and say something like make your dent in the universe as a headline. Really ladder that up to status. If you're advertising something quite visual like jewelry or clothing, you could have a headline of make your friends jealous. Quite punchy, but that's laddered up to status. Why do you want to buy this? Because it looks good. Why do you care about that? To make your friends jealous. That's laddering up the benefits. If you're advertising something in like weight loss or body transformation, you could have laddered all the way up. Prove them all wrong as one of your Google Ads headlines. Why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want to look better. I want to be healthy. Okay, why does that matter? Well, I want to live a long life. Also, I want to show such and such who, they don't think I can lose weight, but I can. I'm going to prove them all wrong. That's part of it, and that's status related, right? Technique number 7 is to incentivize action. Now, I touched on these earlier, but some of the easiest ways to do this is with urgency and scarcity. Alongside, obviously, the benefits we've already talked about, and that's part of getting people to take action. But once you've got that foundation, those frameworks in there, and you've got those included as some of your headline options, you want to make it clear that whatever it is you're offering is going to go away at some point. That's what urgency is. So urgency is time-based. The sale ends at the end of May. You've got to take action. You've got to go ahead and grab it before the end of May. Otherwise, it's gone. Scarcity is different. It's how many of this are available. And the thing is, nearly all businesses have capacity issues. Either you only have so much stock to sell, you can only take on so many new clients, you only have so many new appointment slots available, whatever it is. There are some businesses where there's not capacity issues, I suppose, like software, but most businesses do. I say that as well. I think advertisers are normally better at talking about urgency than they are about scarcity, but if you include both, you'll get more people to take action. So not only does this special offer go away at the end of May, but we only have 3 slots available for clients, or we only have 12 left in stock. You can think about lots of businesses that do those sorts of things, and it can work really well. Try and book a hotel on a major hotel booking website, and it's going to say how many rooms are left, and that's scarcity to get you to take action. They're also going to run sales that are time-based to get you to take action. The key with these is don't make it up. So if you're going to run a sale that ends at the end of May, enforce that. That special offer ends at the end of May. You can run a different special offer. You can have a summer sale after that, or whatever it happens to be for your business. But you need to mix it up and enforce that. And with the scarcity, again, you don't need to make something up. There will almost certainly be limitations on how many new people you could work with. So include that info. Number 8 is to tell people what to do and be very clear about it. Not enough Google advertisers do this. This is a mistake that people make. It's so easy to correct, and I want to make sure that you don't make it, right? If you tell people exactly what you want to do, what the next steps are, they are more likely to do it. It might seem obvious to you, but you're involved to some extent in marketing, and if you're running ads for your own business, you know this stuff. Not all your prospects do, especially in certain industries where they might not be as aware. This is so important. Some people work it out by themselves, but why take that risk? Why not increase the likelihood that someone's going to take the action that you wanted to do, right? So for an example, going back to the one we've been using throughout this video, we might have as a headline, click here to book a call, or book a free strategy session. Like, these are the next steps that we want you to take. So we'd have these as headlines in the mix along with our other options. These are some of the steps we want you to take. Just go and do it. Here's what you do. Make it clear. Hopefully that's made it very clear to you what I recommend around that. And number 9 is to keep it simple. So you really want to avoid complex language. People are glancing at your Google ads. They're not paying much attention. They're trying to find what they want as fast as possible, depending on what type of Google ad it is, or they're being distracted away from something else and it's interruption advertising. So they are not paying close attention. They're not going through the detail and trying to work out every word. If your ad feels like effort to read and work out, they'll just look at another one. And you won't get the click, you won't get the conversion, you won't get what you want. So be really careful with complex words or industry jargon, and acronyms is a really big one. Might be obvious to you, but absolute nightmare. Many people have had this experience who don't know much about cars, where you take your car into the car shop and they tell you that such and such and such and such and such is wrong, and you sort of look at them and they just expect you to know what it is, and you're like, mate, I've not got a clue what you're talking about. Like, how much is it to fix it? Like, what, Like, we've had that experience, and I bet you've sat at dinner with someone or met someone at a wedding or whatever, and they've started telling you about their industry and they start talking in these terms. You're like, why does this person think I would know these things? I have no idea what they're talking about. Don't make that mistake. Don't be that person with your Google Ads. People will not check it out. They will not click. They will be confused and they won't take action. So, some Google Ads headline techniques for you there that I think will really improve your Google Ads headlines and help you get much better results. And getting Google Ad headlines right is absolutely essential if you want the best possible results, as we've already discussed. But there are a lot of other things you need to get right if you really want to succeed with Google Ads too. I cover those in this video here. If you haven't already watched that, I'd go ahead and give it a watch. It's really like the 80-20 of how to get the best results with Google Ads. It's the things that matter the most. So go ahead and check it out.